Shota Haruta lay sprawled on his couch, staring blankly at the ceiling. A few months had passed since he quit his job, and he hadn't done anything productive since. He had an incredibly short attention span, starting new things only to lose interest almost immediately. He hated that part of himself, yet after enduring constant criticism from his boss and coworkers, he finally snapped and resigned. He kept telling himself he'd look for another job, but he just couldn't get motivated. Day by day, he dipped into his meager savings. His parents back home told him he could always return, but he felt too ashamed to let them see him like this. "Am I really going to spend my days doing nothing until it's all over?" he muttered under his breath, picking up his phone. The screen vibrated, displaying the name of his one and only friend, Jiro Murakami.
"Shota, let's hit up a VIP lounge tonight. My treat. Come on, man. You gotta live it up once in a while."
Nah, I'm good. That scene's not really for me.
"Don't give me that. You're exactly the kind of guy who needs to loosen up. And did I mention it's on my tab? Free drinks and a chance to chat with some beautiful women. How can you say no?"
Shota hesitated, but the word free was just too tempting. Being perpetually broke, the idea of free drinks was irresistible. Surprisingly, he found himself getting ready to go out, almost without a second thought. The VIP lounge stood in a bustling part of the neon-lit entertainment district. Shota, led by Jiro, stepped inside. A massive chandelier gleamed overhead, and the luxurious interior left Shota awestruck.
Wow, so places like this really do exist.
Relax, man. I've even requested their #1 hostess tonight, so get ready to have a good time.
A short while later, the lounge's top hostess, Kyoko Ichinose, arrived at their table with a warm smile. Her wavy shoulder-length hair and tasteful, not-too-flashy dress gave her a polished, professional air.
Good evening. I hope you'll enjoy yourselves tonight.
Kyoko, you're as stunning as ever. I'm counting on you to show this guy a good time.
Leave it to me.
Shota was both amazed by Kyoko's confident demeanor and her natural approach to hospitality, yet he still felt like this was a world far removed from his own.
It's incredible. I feel like only special people can do this kind of work.
That's not really true. Everyone starts as a beginner. It all comes down to how much effort you put in. But honestly, having customers like you, who seem genuine, makes me really happy.
Her words made Shota's heart skip a beat. At the same time, it made him feel a little sad. He realized how he'd failed even to make an effort in his own life.
Thank you, but I'm really nothing special.
Shota had no way of knowing what might lie beneath Kyoko's professional smile, but somehow the conversation that night stayed with him. A few days later, in the late afternoon, Shota felt like getting some fresh air and wandered around the busy district. He still had no energy to job hunt and was torn about whether he should return to his parents' house. Without much direction, he drifted back to the nightlife area. "What am I supposed to do? I know I can't go on like this," he mumbled to himself when he suddenly heard the sounds of an argument.
Enough already! How many times do I have to say the same thing?
I told you I'm sorry, okay? Just stop yelling.
In the crowd, a couple appeared to be in the middle of a heated dispute. The man shouted at the woman, occasionally raising his hand as if to strike. Shota felt a surge of unease. He moved closer and was shocked by what he saw. The woman being yelled at was Kyoko Ichinose, the same hostess he had met just days before at the lounge. "Wait, Kyoko?" She noticed Shota, her eyes widening in surprise for a moment before she quickly looked away, clearly uncomfortable. Concerned, Shota spoke up.
Hey, stop that. Leave her alone.
Huh? Who the hell are you?
I don't know what's going on, but screaming at someone in public like this is just wrong.
The man shot Shota a glare, then noticed the gathering stares of passers-by and clicked his tongue before storming off. Shota breathed a sigh of relief and turned to Kyoko.
Thank you. You really helped me out. But what are you doing here?
I was just taking a walk. More importantly, are you okay?
Kyoko nodded, but her face looked exhausted. Seeing her like that, Shota couldn't just walk away.
If it's all right, maybe we could talk for a bit? You seem like you're forcing yourself to keep it together.
Sure, just for a little while.
They found a quiet cafe in the entertainment district and took a seat inside. A small lamp cast a gentle light across their table.
Really, thanks. To be honest, being around him is exhausting.
Him? You mean the guy from before?
Yeah, he's my boyfriend. Lately he's been like that. If he's in a bad mood, he yells. Sometimes I don't even know why I'm still with him.
That sounds tough. It doesn't really sound like a normal relationship.
Kyoko paused for a moment before continuing.
He's actually the #1 host at another club. I know he's under a lot of stress, but being insulted every day is, well, it wears me down. Sometimes I wonder why I stay with him at all.
If it's that bad, you don't have to keep going, right?
Maybe not, but I only know the nightlife industry. I wouldn't even know where to start if I left it.
As Shota listened, he realized just how concerned he was about her. But he also knew he had no real power to help. He was unemployed and directionless himself, so he hesitated to say anything.
Maybe you don't have to figure everything out right away. You can take it slow.
Take it slow, huh? Thank you. Talking about it really does help.
Kyoko smiled softly, and Shota, feeling shy, looked away. After a moment, Kyoko pulled out her phone and spoke up.
Why don't we exchange numbers? Just having someone to talk to can really make a difference.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Shota hastily grabbed his phone and added her contact info. In that moment, a faint sense of hope flickered within him. Later that night, Shota lay in bed staring at his phone. He looked at Kyoko's newly registered name in his chat app, recalling what she had told him.
I'm not sure what I can do for her, but at least I can listen.
Even though he felt powerless, Shota started thinking about what little he could offer. In the days that followed, Shota and Kyoko texted each other regularly. They shared updates about their lives, work, or lack thereof in Shota's case, everyday matters and silly jokes. Shota realized that Kyoko was becoming someone very special to him. Then one day, Kyoko's message came with a heavier tone than usual.
I decided to break up with him. I just couldn't take it anymore.
Really? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'll be fine. I'm just worried about what comes next. I'm thinking about quitting the VIP lounge, but I'm not sure what else to do.
As Shota read her message, he felt his chest tighten. He could only imagine how hard it must have been for her to make that decision, and his desire to support her grew stronger.
Let's meet up and talk. I really want to hear everything in person.
Thanks. I can make a little time for that.
A few days later, they sat across from each other again at a cafe. Shota could see how drained Kyoko looked, and he tried his best to keep the mood light so she could open up.
So you really decided to break up with him?
Yeah, I couldn't handle the yelling, the constant mood swings. I finally confronted him and we ended it.
She spoke slowly, as if weighing each word, and let out a small sigh.
I know it must have been tough, but what's your plan now? Are you still unsure?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I should keep working at the lounge or quit. But if I quit, I'll have no income, and I don't know what else I could do.
Seeing her anxious expression, Shota felt an overpowering urge to help. But then he remembered his own reality. He was basically a NEET, still jobless, and in no position to help anyone. After struggling with himself for a moment, he forced the words out.
Kyoko, if you do decide to leave, would you want to look for something new together? Maybe it'd be easier if you had someone by your side.
Huh?
I know it's hard to figure everything out on your own. I'm still searching for my own path, too. Maybe we can help each other.
Kyoko looked at Shota with surprise. Part of her felt relieved by his kindness, though another part of her worried he might not be as reliable as he sounded. Still, she offered a small smile.
Thank you. That does make me feel a bit better.
That night, Shota lay in bed reflecting on what he had said.
We can look together? Who am I kidding? I don't even have a job myself.
He was painfully aware of how little he had to offer, but also felt a growing sense of urgency to change. Shota spent the whole night thinking, and by morning, he'd made a decision.
I can't stay like this. If I'm going to support Kyoko, I need to get my act together.
He booted up his laptop, opened a job search website, and revisited his neglected resume. Updating his information for the first time in months, he scrolled through listings, looking for any job he might qualify for. A few days later, Shota met Kyoko at the cafe again. He tried to hide his own jobless state, offering superficial advice about her future, all the while battling his own anxiety.
Lately, I just don't feel motivated at the lounge. But if I quit, I'll lose my income. I'm scared. I'm not sure I can land another job.
Yeah, I get it. But I really believe you can do it. If you ever decide to switch careers, I'll help however I can. We can figure it out together.
Even as he spoke, Shota felt his own insecurities creeping in. He was still unemployed, painfully aware that his words lacked real weight. That night, Shota pored over job listings, feeling overwhelmed. No experience required. possible promotion to full-time. He clung to anything that might be feasible.
Is there really a job out there for someone like me?
But thoughts of Kyoko pushed him forward. He wanted to change himself for her sake as much as his own. Summoning his courage, Shota finally hit the apply button. A few weeks later, Shota started working part-time at a small local logistics company. The physical labor was tough at first. On his first day alone, he messed up several times and got an earful from the senior staff.
Hey, Haruta, you can't stack packages like this. You'll damage them.
Oh, sorry, I'll fix it right away.
He was far from comfortable in this new environment, but he clung to it with all he had. Because he had made a promise to Kyoko and to himself that he wouldn't give up. Meanwhile, Kyoko had decided to quit the VIP lounge for good. But with no daytime work experience, she felt lost about where to start looking for a new job. As she stared at a job search site, feeling overwhelmed, her phone buzzed with a message from Shota.
Shota's probably giving it his all right now. I can't just stay here doing nothing, can I?
Reading his update, "I messed up all day, but I'm hanging in there," Kyoko silently rooted for him. Determined, she began carefully looking through listings for administrative positions. The next morning, Shota woke before his alarm and got ready for work.
I've got to keep changing. I want to be someone Kyoko can be proud of.
Day by day, he pushed forward, sweating, getting blisters, but gradually moving ahead. Months passed. Once again, Shota and Kyoko met at the cafe, sitting across from each other. They'd each started new chapters in their lives, growing more accustomed to their routines. Kyoko, after countless interviews, had landed a job at a small office. Though she struggled with the computer work at first, she was learning.
It's kind of surreal, you know. The first time we talked here, I was a total wreck.
Right, but look at you now. You've come a long way.
I still make mistakes and get scolded sometimes, but it's a whole different kind of challenge compared to working nights. Still, whenever I think about how hard you're trying, I tell myself I can't slack off either.
She gave a small, somewhat bashful smile. Sensing her sincerity, Shota felt a surge of courage and spoke up. Shota looked a bit nervous as he listened to Kyoko's words. Then, as if mustering every ounce of courage, he began to speak.
I need to be honest with you. Back then, I was a wreck too.
Huh?
At that time, I wasn't working at all. Basically, I was a NEET. I was so tired of dealing with responsibilities and people that I quit my job and did nothing.
Kyoko looked surprised but remained silent, waiting for Shota to continue.
But meeting you changed me. Hearing your story made me realize I couldn't go on like that. Especially if I wanted to be there for someone else. I had to turn myself around.
So you were hiding that all this time. But I can see now that you've really changed.
It's all thanks to you. Seeing how hard you work made me want to work harder too. So, thank you.
Shota's straightforward words brought tears to Kyoko's eyes, though she smiled.
If you say that, you're going to make me cry. But really, thank you, Shota. I'm here now because of you too.
One evening, Shota invited Kyoko to a local park. The trees were tinted orange by the setting sun, and a gentle breeze passed between them as they strolled side by side. Shota looked tense.
This place has a nice vibe. It's rare for you to bring me somewhere like this.
Yeah? Well, there's something I want to tell you.
They came to a stop. Shota took a deep breath and turned to face Kyoko. His expression was nothing short of serious.
Kyoko, there's something I've wanted to say for a while now.
Yes?
Meeting you changed my life. I started looking inward and actually moving forward again. I'm not sure I have the right to say this, but...
Kyoko watched him with a slightly surprised look.
I like you, Kyoko. I want to keep being with you. Will you be my girlfriend?
Shota?
She was at a loss for words for a moment, but then she smiled and nodded.
Thank you for feeling that way. I feel safe with you too. So, yes, let's be together.
Upon hearing that, Shota's face broke into a relieved grin. In the glow of the setting sun, they gently took each other's hands. A few years later, Shota became a full-time employee at the logistics company and was eventually put in charge of a small team. The company wasn't big, but they were always short-staffed, so anyone who produced results quickly got more responsibility. Once notorious for losing interest in everything, Shota now led subordinates and earned their trust. Meanwhile, Kyoko had adapted to her office job. She'd struggled at first, but over time, she found her own way to work comfortably. The two continued dating, supporting each other and growing together. One evening, the sun stained the sky a brilliant red as they strolled hand in hand.
Shota, you're a section chief now. That's amazing. But I bet you're not stopping there, are you?
Nope, I'm going to keep aiming higher, so we can build an even better future together.
They had overcome the difficulties of their past. Still dreaming of the future they'd create side by side, they continued moving forward together.